You're listening to Beauty and Beyond Playbook. I'm your host, Mitsy Hernandez. So I want to talk about something that I think is a misconception that people have about making large amounts of money. Now, I do want to give the disclaimer that the most amount of money I've made is $15,000 in consecutive months. So I don't know what that equals out to be. But if obviously we're talking about more money than that, I haven't done that yet. I will speak based on what I have been told by people that make more than that. When you join any of the programs that I offer, one of the main things I'm going to always ask is, what is your ultimate goal? Where do you see your life in the future? And a common pattern I have seen is the rhetoric of, in the future, I will not have to work and I will be rich. And while I always encourage all of my mentees and all of my friends and all of my clients to dream as big as possible, I want to talk about what I think is a misconception about wealthy people. If you're familiar with me and my business, my lash business, then you're familiar with my demographic that I work on. If you're not, I'm going to tell you. I accidentally tapped into a very wealthy demographic in my city. And I've been lashing for 10 years, so I have become friends with some of them. I've gotten to know them very well. I think a misconception that a lot of people have about wealthy people is that they don't work. Now, they do give that illusion. They definitely give the illusion that they're not working, for fucking sure. You see them jet setting, you see them doing things, you see them buying things. They for sure give that illusion. But a lot of my clients work their asses off, right? I have a lash client who owns her own private plane. She is constantly working. Why did they buy a private plane? I can tell you this much, not to travel for fun. She said because they were spending so much time going from state to state to state to check on their businesses that it just made more logical sense to get their own plane, because then they're not bound by whatever flight they have. There's many times she'll text me and be like, I have to go out of town on Thursday. I'm sorry, can you see me on Wednesday? And it's a very common occurrence for her. It doesn't bother me because I comprehend that she's constantly traveling for work. She's constantly working. I have another client who disclosed to me how much she makes a year, and it's a fuck ton. It's a lot. It's a lot. I won't say the number simply because she asked for me not to say the number, but it's a lot, right? She works all the fucking time. When I'm doing her lashes, she's working. She's constantly working. Constantly working. She travels a fuck ton. What did she say to me? When I am traveling, I am actively working. Yeah, I'm in Vegas, but I'm also working. She went home for I think a month because she's not from this country. And she told me that when she was home, she sold 30 houses. 30 houses in a month while she was out of the country, supposed to be vacationing. I have another client, makes so much money. When I'm doing her lashes, she's actively on meetings, taking calls. She's constantly traveling for meetings. She's a headhunter. She is constantly operating in different time zones. Because if the company she's working with wants candidates from Australia or the UK, she has to be on their time zone. She's constantly working. And she makes a lot of money by herself. She's married, but she makes a fuck ton of money by herself. I'm talking on a Mason year, she makes $500,000 by herself. There is a misconception somewhere along the line that when you make $500,000 a year, you make that $500,000 and then you chill and then you don't work anymore. That's not true at all. Because your lifestyle will elevate. Because you make more money now, you're putting more into retirement. because you like a certain lifestyle, you know you need a certain amount in retirement. You're thinking about your children's college. That costs money. If you have 3 kids, you probably want each kid to have about $100,000 in a bank account. That's $300,000 that you have to work while still maintaining your lifestyle. You're constantly planning for the future. You're constantly planning to create wealth for your kids. You don't make $500,000 in 1 year and chill and be done. That's just not how that works. Now, obviously, there are people that make millions upon millions, and I guarantee you they also are not chilling. I can guarantee you that they're constantly working very hard. Now, someone may be listening to this and be like, well, they must not be managing their money well, or if that happened to me, then I would just not upgrade my lifestyle. I'll still live the life I want to live, and then I would just be chilling. I'm telling you right now, you do not make $500,000 in 1 fucking year and be like, yeah, that's enough, I'm going to chill. No, because you are aware of your potential. You're like, fuck that. I was having a conversation with someone I grew up with recently, and we were talking about money, and he told me he said he was making $25,000 a year or something like that. He said, how much do you make? I said, well, on my good months, I'm making $15,000. I said, but, you know, that's not all the time. And even then, I want to make more. And he was like, God damn, you greedy. How much do you truly need? See, because he only makes $2,000 a month, or however the fuck he makes. I'm assuming 2,000. 25 divided by 12. It ended up with about 2,000. He looks at me and thinks 15, and he like, damn, if I made 15, I would just be chilling. No, the fuck you wouldn't, because your lifestyle is different. Now, mind you, I'm not saying your lifestyle creeps up and you're doing crazy shit and you're in debt. I'm not saying that, but in general, if you're living in an area that's not that nice, you're going to go live in a nicer area. Why? Not necessarily because your ego wants it, but because it's safer, because your kids have to go to a safer school. You can afford to have a nicer car where you're not constantly breaking down. You can afford to go to a really nice gym that has saunas and cold plunges. You can afford decent vacations. You can afford private school. You can afford, does that make sense? Like, your lifestyle changes. You don't make $15,000 and say, well, that's about what I need for my rent for, let's say, what? Let's say your rent's $2,000 for 7 months. So I'ma just chill. That's just not how shit works. That's just not how it works. Can you live a very humble life? 100% you can. But then you're actively saving for your kids' future. You're actively investing into their education by putting them in private school. You're investing in them by putting them into piano lessons or art lessons or some. Does that make sense? Like, the money's going to go somewhere because you've elevated your lifestyle. Now you can afford to go to doctors, right? Like, now I can afford to go to a pelvic floor therapist. When I was broke, I wouldn't even think to go to a doctor like that. I can afford to get my blood tested every 6 months to make sure everything is okay, and I pay for it out of pocket. I can afford to go to therapy once a week. Your lifestyle elevates because now you have access to different resources. So you're going to work. You're going to work. Now, the reason I say you're going to work is because I need you to comprehend that there is a level of responsibility that comes with every income level, right? If you're not making any money, you don't have the same responsibility as someone who has a job, right? Like, when I was a teen, I never wanted to work. I just didn't want to work. I only went to work because my parents kept being like, you need to work. You're almost 18 and you haven't had a job yet. And mind you, I come from very hardworking immigrant parents. And my older sister started working when she was 14. So to them, it was weird that I was just at home chilling, using their resources, right? Every time I needed gas, I'm coming up to them. Can I have some gas money? So I went and got a job. So who I was before I went and got a job was different. There was a different level of responsibility. I had to think about my schedule. I had to think about getting there on time. I had to think to not be late to work. I had to think that if I didn't want to go to work, was it worth me calling out and potentially losing my job? I had to budget my money because my parents weren't giving me money now because they're like, okay, you working, you take care of your gas. So there comes a level of responsibility with making a certain amount of money, just like there comes a level of responsibility between living with your parents and having your own house. There's a level of responsibility. So when you are at a certain income level, as you rise, that responsibility changes, right? So for example, I lash by myself. I don't have employees. I want to make money on my days off. So I hire someone to make money for me. While someone may think, oh, now I get to go home and chill and just be, hanging out with my kids or hanging out with my boyfriend or my parents and I'm just chilling. No, now there's a level of responsibility of making sure your employee is doing what they need to be doing. Make sure they're not stealing from you. Make sure they are representing your company correctly. So every income level comes with different responsibility. It may not look like people are working. It may not look like it, but I promise you they are, right? And so the level of responsibility I have right now versus the level of responsibility I had when I was making like $3,000 a month in my lash business is vastly different. And if I let the responsibility that I have right now drop, meaning I don't take care of my clients correctly, I don't lash correctly, I don't market, or I don't, whatever it is that I need to do to continue to have my income level, if I don't take that seriously and I let that slip, the income is going to slip. There is never going to be a point in your life. Let me take that back. Let me take that back. Let me take that back. There is never going to be a point in your young life, if you are very ambitious, where you're not going to do some form of labor, whether that's mental labor or physical labor. There is just not a point. There's just not a point. I am telling you this right now. There are very wealthy people in my city and they're constantly working. That's how they are wealthy. Now, do they have different little eggs, right? Meaning, like, do they have different savings accounts? Do their kids live different lives? Of course. So one could look at them and be like, oh, their life is just easier because of this or this. Yeah, probably they're privileged in certain ways, but let me tell you right now, they all work their fucking ass off. You hear me? Even my clients that stay at home mothers, they work so hard. They work so hard at teaching their kids stuff. They work hard at schedules. They work hard at making sure that they are constantly in sports and with tutors and learning another language and play dates and skill sets and projects and arts and crafts and throwing parties and decorating the house and cooking home cooked meals with only organic vegetables. They work hard. Anything you see people work hard for, everything worth having comes with responsibility. When you become a mother, there's responsibility. When you want to have a six pack and you want to keep a six pack, that comes with responsibility. You can't be binge drinking every weekend and want a fucking six pack. Obviously, there are some men whose body fat is low enough and they do that. But check back in with them when they hit like mid-30s. It's not going to be like that. But for people that actively got a six pack, there's a level of responsibility for that. Everything worth having is a responsibility. Think of relationships. You don't get in a relationship and just stop fucking working on it. That's how money is. You actively work on your relationship with your partner, with your dog, with your friends, with whoever. When you get lazy and stop putting in work, then that's when that quality decreases. So while 100% I want all of y'all to dream of being so fucking rich that you can choose to not work, I want you to comprehend that the way that you will get rich is by embracing the journey of the responsibilities that will come your way with that wealth. So anytime you catch yourself wanting more money, ask yourself, how much work am I putting into this? And that could mean not physical work, but mental work too. That is like one of the biggest things that I have learned this year, even about myself. Right? It's easy for me to be like, I want to make more. I want to make 30. I want to make $40,000 months. I want this. I want that. It's easy to want shit. We all want shit. It just comes with human nature. But it's hard to actually look in the mirror and be like, are you working for that? Right? And I had to come to a realization and look myself in the mirror and be like, bitch, you not working hard. That's how the fuck y'all getting 3 episodes a week from the podcast, because I wasn't working hard enough. I thought I was putting 1 episode a week. Every other week was, oh, that was my best. Was it my best, or was I lying to myself? Was I wanting the result of something without putting in the work? And the truth is, I wanted the result of more money. I wanted the result of people signing up. I wanted the result of helping women, but I didn't want to put in the work. And then I'm looking around like, damn, why isn't it coming out the way I want it to come out? It's not coming out the way I want it to come out because I'm not inputting anything for anything wonderful to come the fuck out. Does that make sense? Right? I said this to my mentee this weekend. I have had people join my programs or talk to me in the DMs and they say things to me like, oh, I like what you be talking about, but what happens if I don't have time to do that? I just don't have the time to do that. Baby girl, in this fucking world, in this entrepreneur world where you're a business owner, you will either have fucking time or you will either have fucking money. And if you're telling me right now that you struggling financially, baby girl, you ain't got none but fucking time. Because you don't have the money, meaning you ain't actively working to get that money, whether, like I said, mental or physical. That means you ain't got none but time. No, I don't, Mitsy. No, I don't. I don't have anything but time. I used to tell myself the same fucking thing. I used to literally talk to my business coach. She'd be like, how's it going? Why haven't you been putting out content? Oh, I've just been so busy. Oh, okay. Well, let's try to figure out how to carve out some time for you to reach your goals. And I would almost get angry at her, right? And I would be like, well, I got a kid. I'm a single mom. I still have my lash business. Like, I'm busy. I got to clean. I got to work. I got to cook. I got to exercise. I got all this shit I got to do. I'm busy. I just right now don't have time for content, right? That's what I would say to her. And that's what I would say to myself. And I truly, truly believed that. But then when I took a motherfucking step back, I would sit on the couch for an hour just scrolling on TikTok. In that hour, I could have recorded some podcast episodes. In that hour, I could have created some reels. In that hour, I could have did 110 fucking things that were productive towards my business. So if you want more money, you need to look at the day you have right now and where do you have time to create something great? Where do you have time, right? I see this a lot in a lot of young girls who just started their business. They don't want to work for free. Right? Especially like I feel like this new generation, like this young generation, y'all see y'all's worth in a distorted way. And by no means will I ever ask you to subscribe to struggle. I'm going to change my mic. Give me a minute. Okay. By no means am I ever going to ask you to subscribe to struggle because that's not what I mean at all. That's why I'm calling it responsibility. I'll talk to people in my DM and they'll be like, man, I don't have any clients coming in. And I'll be like, you know what? This is what you're going to do. Since you don't have any clients coming in, you need to go and find a bunch of girls and lash them for free so that you stay at the top of your game. And this is like girls that just started lashing, right? So like, they're not at the top of their game. And I'm like, you need to find them and lash one person a day for 5 days a week, every week. I don't want to work for free. Well, nobody's coming to pay you. So why do you think you're above working for free? Well, I don't want to work for free. I feel like I should get paid at least what my supplies cost. All right, how much do your supplies cost? Because they don't cost no more than $5 per person, that's for sure. I've done enough price breakdowns to tell you that, at least for lashes. I don't know about nails and I don't know about, brows and stuff. But for lashes, 100%, it shouldn't cost you more than $5 to do one person. So let's say you charge 20. Go ahead, charge 20. Well, I don't really want to charge 20 because I'm going to be sitting there then you don't fucking want it. You don't fucking want it. You're not ready for the responsibility that comes with all of this. You don't fucking want it bad enough. Point blank, period. And again, I'm not saying you should not care about your worth and work for free and grind it out till you get to the top. No, but if you want a booked out business, you need to view who do I need to be for that booked out business. You have to prepare your mind and your schedule for that shit. And if you're seeing one client a week and you're like, oh, I sure want this. I want to be lashing. Well, then get to lashing. Because if you do the initial full set, they're going to come back for fills if you play it right. And then wham, bam, you went from lashing 10 random bitches for free to 10 paying clients. And then from there, you get momentum to do more and more and more because then they go tell their friends. Do you get what I'm trying to say? But if you think you're too good to do that kind of shit, you're coming into the game entitled, so you're going to suffer. And by suffering, by no means, I mean physically, I mean mentally. You're going to cry, right? That's where you see a lot of threads Or like Instagram posts like, oh, building a business, building a clientele ain't for the week. This ain't for the week. Ooh, honey, I'm breaking. Yeah, because you mentally didn't prepare for it, because you wanted the outcome, but you didn't want the work. You didn't want the process, right? You hear this all the time. It's not the destination, it's the journey. And that is so fucking true. I'm calling it responsibility because that's what it is. It's a level of responsibility you have to be willing to take. And that means dropping certain fucking habits that aren't serving you. For example, for me, it's the scrolling on TikTok. I allow myself to scroll on TikTok 15 minutes a day now. 15. And when those 15 minutes goes off, I'm telling you, I want to keep scrolling because to me, TikTok is my form of entertainment. But if I say I want the life I want, if I say that I want a different income, scrolling on TikTok ain't gonna do shit for me. It's going to distract me from where I need to go. I need to be putting out work. I need to be recording podcasts, making content, working on my programs, working on my workbook, working on my videos. There is a level of responsibility that will come with being wealthy. So when you dream of what your dream life will be, I want you to comprehend that you will change. You will become the kind of woman that is so creative and so passionate about your business that the thought of, oh, I'm going to just stack my paper and sit back at home and just be chilling all day, that won't cross your mind because you're a doer. You're a creator. You have ideas and you bring them the fuck to life. So be careful with this misconception where you think people that make more money don't work. They're chilling. That's how they can sometimes come across. But trust me when I say this. And mind you, obviously, I don't know all the fucking rich people in the world. But the clients that I do have that are very wealthy, they're working all the fucking time. All the fucking time. There's a level of responsibility that comes with every single income level. So this was just something that I wanted to quickly throw out there. As usual, if you have any questions, please feel free to DM me. Until then, you will hear from me in the next podcast.